How does NGCs think about, in terms of the future, this fit in with your strategy?
Well, I mean, if you take the global picture, I mean, clearly the energy mix, as Claire is talking about, is about 15% renewables as part of the whole energy mix. If you fast forward to 2040, 2050 in terms of what it needs to be, it's like 66%. We're nowhere near that story. So, and if you kind of bring it down home to Trinidad now, we all know that the cost of electricity is quite cheap here. So in terms of justifying, getting a real economic push and value for renewable projects, that's where you're limited. I think there's also another side of the story, where on the demand side, you see people trying to become more energy efficient. And I think that's where the whole world of energy efficiency and conservation, you see a lot of good stories in Latin America, Central America, and the Caribbean, actually, where they're focusing on this story in addition to the renewable energy story. And that's where you start to get into the world of what laws you have, what agencies you have, what committees you have, what standards you set, and also the energy usage of all our vehicles and transport areas and so on. So I think if you start going into that world, that's where also Trinidad needs to be positioned. From an NGC standpoint, we of course know that the National Energy has been working with the Ministry of Energy in the area of renewables. And you would have heard also that there's a focus on the ESCO companies and trying to focus more on energy audits and seeing where we can become more efficient as well. So I think that's just where we are positioning ourselves on the CNG front, on the renewables, and then you would also see us very involved in the reforestation, carbon sequestration, EOR, and so on. So I mean, we are trying to paint a sustainability picture that way.
In terms of the interaction between technology and the industry?
Well, I will start with the fact that, if you look at the Global Innovation Index, Trinidad and Tobago is 96 out of 126. If you look at the competitive index numbers, Trinidad and Tobago is 78 out of 140. If you drill down any innovation pillars, you will see that we dropped to about 81 in the capability. But I think my reflection here is that we are blessed in a way to have world-class players in one space. So you do have the BPs, the Shells, the Nutrients, the Yaras. But my reflection is we have to create this environment where we somehow need to extract more in the R&D sector and apply it to the industry. So we know all these companies have R&D. And the thing about it is if you see how it's applied to our universities, our students, and how we take this forward as a national scale, the energy efficiency story is one of those stories where you can do that. The agricultural sector in terms of how we test all the nitrogen and phosphorus and so on that you see happening in other countries. Why is it we can't do it here when in fact we are the top exporter of ammonia from Trinidad and Tobago? So I think there's a lot of room for collaboration.
That's a great point. So we have these pockets of intense technological innovation, efficiency at a global level, but somehow it's ring-fenced. It's not spreading and spilling over enough to the rest of the economy.
Correct, and I think that's where we need to get into the whole, I guess, in national space, and it's more than just the companies that I refer to. I'm also thinking about bringing into the whole national focus in education and all these other areas, because I mean, at the end of the day, it is also the consumers using the energy in a certain way and thinking about certain things. So I think there's room for improvement in terms of how the government creates this environment, the universities get the R&D in certain areas and work in certain areas, and then the companies are also supporting all of these areas. How do we work smarter with what we have, as opposed to, not putting aside the point of technology, but I think there's also, if you take technologies froze right now, there's a lot of room for improvement in terms of how we actually work.